Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council in regular session for Monday, November 6th, 2017. Ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Ryan?
Here.
Councilor Freeman? Here. Councilor Reed?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Parsons?
Here.
Councilor Herrera?
Here.
Councilor Anderson?
Here.
And Youth Councilor Hernandez.
Here.
Thank you. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to the first day after the time change. We have nothing on special orders of business tonight, and I don't have anybody from any of our committees who are here to report, unless there's someone here from one of our city committees I don't have a blue sheet for. Then I'm going to go ahead and go into public testimony. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for a public hearing. We have no public hearing scheduled tonight, so all of these folks have signed up to testify. We've received, is this letter having to do with your testimony, Gary? Okay, so we'll hold on to that for a second. I'd like to go ahead and take the folks who, from Main Avenue, who have signed up. Chris Fairbrother, would you like to lead off? Where's, yes, why don't you come on up here and just have a seat and state your name and your city of residence for the record, and we're all yours. It should already be on. Tracy's going to make sure that you're all set.
Okay.
All right.
So you wanted me to state,
Your name and your city of residence for the record.
my name is Chris Fairbrother, Kaiser.
All right. Off you go.
Well, I just wanted to comment, we got a water bill, and there appears to be a surcharge on it for law enforcement, the hiring of officers. Is that correct?
It is a fee. It is, as a surcharge would be on top of water. It's not related to water. It is, our Kaiser Services bill now includes a parks fee and a law enforcement fee.
Okay. I guess what I find disturbing about it was, to me, it seemed like there was no public discussion. Now, I have heard that it was discussed back in July, and there was, I never saw an announcement about this, or we didn't get a letter, as far as I know. And so it seems like a lack of transparency to me. And it seems like a very odd way to fund services to me. Aren't services normally funded by levies and things that are voted on by people?
To some extent, that is true. There are a number of ways that we can choose to pay for services. We have in our general fund, which is where a lot of our services are funded. Property tax is one portion of that. We can also do levies. 5-year levies is our limit under the Oregon Constitution. Then you have to continue to reapply for those. Fees are also another way that we can choose to fund services that we need. Through the process that we went through with both our parks and police, we had public input, we had outreach, and particularly on parks, for a year, and talked about the needs that we had, did an analysis of the positions needed. The chief, through many means, reached out to the community, neighborhood associations, the newspaper, public hearings, on how we can take care of our need for 5 additional officers to make sure that we have sufficient law enforcement coverage. And the fee was the sustainable, long-term funding mechanism that was proposed. And through that process then was finally voted upon by the Kaiser City Council in July. Both the park services fee and the police fee were both voted on that evening.
Okay, well, there are a couple points I'd like to make.
Yes, please.
This is the first I knew about it, was when we opened up a bill.
Okay.
I didn't experience any outreach we never received a letter from the city on it. I don't know, maybe one was sent and we didn't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, we sent a letter to every water, in every water bill in the month previous to you receiving your bill. So we tried to, I think we tried pretty hard to reach out to the community. Clearly, we're not going to get everybody, so we apologize for that.
And were the fees elucidated in that letter? Okay.
They were.
And the mayor mentioned sustainable and long-term.
Correct. The 5 officers that we are funding, and Chief, remind me if I get this wrong, it's 1 traffic safety officer, 2 night patrol, a property crimes detective, and a community response unit.
Oh, good for you.
Okay. Those are the 5 positions that were identified as what we needed to complete the level of service necessary for a city of 38,000.
Okay, I guess maybe I just need to get a little more involved because I am not aware of how these evaluations for services are made. Does that mean I'm out of time?
No, we're, not a problem.
Okay.
Please continue.
But still, the whole way that this is done, just tacking it on somewhere and then it shows up, and I just feel like I didn't get anything to say about it, and I obviously have to be more involved. To the chief, perhaps at some point I could talk with you about services and needs and how these things are determined. Not here tonight,
Sure, I'll give you my card and
okay?
we'll meet and talk, you bet.
Okay, and yeah, that'd be good. We can start from there. Okay, well, I've said everything I need to say.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Madam Mayor,
Next up, I'm sorry, you had a question?
thank you. I just want to do it, sir, in addition to the Madam Mayor's response to you, I wanted you to know that a questionnaire went out, I think over a year ago, to all residents asking for needing of your local park, like in your area, and your opinion. So we did send out a survey a year ago, and we held multiple park planning meetings, and then we've had at least, I want to say close to 10 community meetings, town halls as well. So, we all have Facebook pages. City has a Facebook page. That might be good for you to make sure, maybe kind of connect to it that way so you can see what's going on, so you have future input, because your input is important to us, and we really did reach out. So we appreciate that.
So, if you want to come up to the microphone, the television audience can't hear you from there.
At some point, can I come into City Hall here and get a list of your names and Facebook tags?
Absolutely, and it's also all on the city website. So if you go to cityofkaiser.org, we are all listed with our phone numbers and how to reach us on email, or kind of what's happening with the city, and Tracy keeps it updated, Deb keeps it
Okay.
updated all the time. So, yeah,
the business
and that's
cards are
really
in the
the
back.
best way to kind of see currently what's going on or what's coming up in the future, and we're all accessible, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good.
Sure.
Tracy just mentioned that on your way out, all of the city councilors' business cards are right there on your left before
Okay.
you exit out the door. So you
Very
can
good.
grab it right now. I mean,
Yeah.
when,
Not that you, no. you can stay.
I didn't say that correctly. When you're ready
At
to
your
leave, you
convenience.
can grab one on the way. So
At your convenience.
at your convenience.
Yes, yes, indeed. Deborah Kennedy? Come on up and have a seat. And again, if you would just give your name and city of residence for the record, then the floor is yours.
My name is Deborah Kennedy, and I live in Kaiser. I live on Main Avenue as well. I have to say that I was really offended when I saw this on my bill on Friday. Because I think if taxes are going to be raised, and I know you call it a fee, but it's really everybody else gets paid by taxes. All the officers here, they're paid by taxes. They are not paid by fees. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like being taxed with your water and sewer bill with no opportunity to vote. That's the democratic way to, as far as I'm concerned, that's the democratic way to raise taxes, is we vote on a bond or a levy. Fees are for one-time things. I looked at your, at the website, at the list of fees. There's really not very many. I mean, they're for one-time things. They're for driveway, sidewalk permits, demolition permits, amphitheater permits, block party permits, those are fees. This, to me, strikes me as a tax on my water and sewer bill. And I have to tell you, having gone through my complete neighborhood, I would have gone over to the other two streets as well, but I didn't feel very well on Sunday. That most people are pretty concerned with how high their sewer bills are right now, much less adding on police and parks. You know, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right that everybody wasn't notified. It doesn't feel right that you had public comment and discussion on one night and then you voted it in. It's a brand new thing. You know, I don't know why it's on the water and sewer bill. It just doesn't ring true to me. You know, the implication to me is just that you could raise any kind of money that you wanted by putting it on the water and sewer bill and calling it a fee. I mean, well, that's not the way we do it in America. We vote on our taxes. We have a vote for raising taxes. Yeah, the problem with this was that there was no adequate notice. With a levy, everyone would have heard about it via the voters pamphlet and would have had a chance to get input. And I'm real careful about reading everything that comes, you know, all the little things that come in with my gas bill and my electric bill and everything like that. I read them. So, and I do recall the parks questionnaire. Was it just a questionnaire? Because I think I turned that in. I don't think it said that you were going to get a fee. It was on there? Oh, I don't remember that. I do remember filling it out, and I sent it back in. I always fill out surveys, always. So as far as I'm concerned, I didn't know it was contemplated until last week. And you know, you've got a newspaper here that's got a circulation of 4,000, so it's obviously not going to hit everybody. You know, whereas the voter pamphlet, everyone gets it, you know, at the time they vote. Also, I have a problem with having a hearing to solicit comment on the same day that you vote to pass it. That seems like not too much consideration was given. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right, and my neighbors are concerned about it. You know, they're concerned about how high this is gonna go. Right now, $16 twice, you know, every two months, it doesn't seem like that much money, but I can see it jumping up from there. So anyway, that's my concern. I don't suppose there's any way to get rid of this, no way to take another vote and consider a tax. So we're going to be stuck with this until forever. Anyway, thanks for your time. I'm just my 2 cents worth.
Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing your thoughts. One of the most difficult things that we face is public outreach and how to be effective with it. The year that went into the park survey in particular, you know, was public outreach with paper, with being at events, with hearings and so forth to hone in on what our needs were. So a couple of things. You know, I appreciate that we were not able to be as effective as we'd like to, and if there are means where we can reach out more effectively, I would really appreciate that input. The other is on how high will these go. These fees were put in by ordinance. They are not something we can change willy-nilly, nor would anybody else on here do that. We pay the same things everybody else does. We don't pass laws we don't have to live with, which is one of the beauties of local government. So we pay the same thing because this is something that everybody's going to be paying into. A levy would have been tacked on a property tax and would have come under the Measure 5, eventually under compression. So the fees were something where all of the residents of Kaiser would pay the same thing. So that was how we have done this for right now to meet the basic needs for parks and police. This is a common way that we can self-tax, and I agree with you. This is a tax. When money leaves our pockets and is used for the city to operate, I agree with you. That is our money. Call it a fee, call it a tax, whatever you want. It is cash. that is being used for all of us. I agree with you. But this will not be raised or changed, and it is subject to review by the Budget Committee every single year to make sure that it is meeting the needs of our community. And we would very much welcome your input at Budget Committee time, and that will be in May.
Okay.
So watch for the Budget Committee. I believe those are being scheduled for, Mr. Wood, if I remember correctly, the first week of May?
That is correct. I believe our first meeting is May 1st.
Okay. So these will be part of the budget process in May. So May 1st and May 3rd will be very likely the main budget meetings. And our budget is always available online for everybody to be able to read, and your comment and input would be very much welcome at that time.
Well, I don't have any bone to pick with you over the state of the park system because it is in need of serious repair. And parks are super important. So I don't have any kick with that. I just don't like to see this on my utility bill. I just don't.
And we did look at other options. This was the most cost-effective. Everything else was going to have additional costs involved for us to be able to collect the fees. So Mr. Wood provided us with a detailed analysis of how we could do this effectively, and every dollar that we would have spent on administrative would have been dollars we're not using for police or parks. So,
So he gave you an analysis on how to implement this by using the utility bill?
correct. The-
And other means.
And other means.
And costed them
Okay.
all out.
And we costed them all out, so we would know, what it would cost to do it this way versus a separate billing versus a monthly billing, quarterly billing. So he looked at it a lot of different ways. And this is the one that does not add to our administrative costs. And so every dollar collected goes exactly to where we said it's going to go. And that it would be for the parks and get them maintained properly, and for the police for the 5 positions that we need at this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much I really appreciate you being here. Teresa Thompson? Thanks for joining us tonight. And if you would just give your name and your city of residence for the record.
Teresa Thompson, Kaiser. It's obviously past the 11th hour, so there's not a lot that can be done about it. But I do also, I'm upset about what has occurred with this addition. And I guess looking back on things, when I used to come to council meetings and I used to hear them talk about moving out the urban growth boundaries and all of this, and look at the houses, we need the homes here in Kaiser, and we, absorb the taxes from these homeowners and this type of thing. Did we not consider at that time the cost of the services that it was going to take to provide to all these newcomers into our area? Same thing with the parks. These parks are beautiful. I don't have a problem with them, but when we were setting those up, again, didn't we think about how much it was going to cost to keep them in the best repair that we can? So looking back in the past, it seems like we didn't really plan very well for the future. And so I'm disappointed with that. I'm disappointed with the decisions that were made that have brought us to this point now. We have them. There's not a lot we can do about this. I also am kind of offended that I'm getting this on my water bill. But this sets up another question where you say that, there are ties to the changes that you would make in these, that you review them and research them. What's going to be on it next? I mean, things come up. We need money for the fire department. We need money to do new sewers. We need money to do this. What all are we going to add to that? So maybe that's why so many people are a little skeptical about what's going on.
Well, and I appreciate that. And again, outreach is one of the most challenging things that we do face in trying to engage and get input from people, because what you think and what you have to say is very, very important, and we want to make sure we hear from everybody early and all through a process. Just for the record, I know you know, but for people watching, the fire district is a separate taxing district, so we don't operate their budget. Water and sewer, I'm glad you asked, because one of the things that we have done under the leadership of our public works directors, both present and in the past, is that your water and sewer bill, well, water in particular, does pay for ongoing maintenance, because we have a master plan that not only looks at the provision of service for today, but also for replacement of our water and our water system. So we do plan out ahead, because we know things wear out. I know in my house they do. So we have to plan ahead to replace. And our water master plan actually does that. The master plan for our parks did not, and it was it was a policy to have a certain percentage of our general fund, which is only one part of our budget, pay for parks. And as you and we all know, that has not been adequate. We also have been hit by a couple of things that are outside of our control. PERS has been a huge hit on our general fund. And there's nothing we can do about that. Those dollars have to be paid out. So the tax dollars that we receive, we don't entirely control. So to be responsible, I agree with you. We've got to make sure that we maintain our parks going forward. And so I can speak for myself that I felt this was the responsible thing to do, was to get them up to speed.
So we didn't think about this 5 years ago?
I wasn't mayor then.
Okay, well, for
And
future
also-
reference, in 5 years, what we're doing now, let's pay it forward and see
And
what
we're
it's
gonna
going
be
to end up costing us.
Yes.
Because while the sewer may be taken care of,
Mm-hmm.
while the fire department may be taken care of in their own budget, things come up all the time.
Yep.
And I can just see more stuff being added to this along the road, and it makes me very worried.
And I absolutely agree that we always have to be very vigilant with each of our dollars and what we are doing with them. That's part of what makes Kaiser such a successful community, is that we are very careful about that. I absolutely agree with you. One of the park survey was done not only to get input from the community, but also did a very thorough job looking at what our needs are. And one of the charges we've given is that as we get things in good repair, we have a very realistic assessment of what it costs to maintain and budget for that. Not what we hope will happen, and not on the backs of a few very dedicated volunteers. That's just not fair, to say a few people will take care of it while the rest of us don't. And I'm looking at some very dedicated volunteers sitting in the audience right here who have done a tremendous amount of work.
And I'm sure that they do.
And they
but
will
we all
continue.
have things that we volunteer in.
Exactly.
We can't spread ourselves,
No,
so there's nothing left of us.
cloning hasn't worked real well.
Has it?
No, it hasn't. So having a very realistic assessment of what it takes to maintain our parks is part of this exercise, so we can plan very thoughtfully and very practically for the future.
Okay.
So,
Well,
are there any other questions, council? Thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to talk about the parks and police fees before we move on to another topic? Okay. Councilor Herrera?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to thank you concerned citizens that showed up and asked these concerns. I had a friend that actually told me the same exact thing that the first gentleman did, Ms. Thompson. And he travels a lot, so he didn't know what was going on when he saw it in his bill. But he's a coach, so he kind of went with it. He thought it was long overdue. But this process has been going on for a long time. I mean, we've sort of kicked the can down the road a long time. And looking at other cities, what the police force has compared to the population, we've been doing this for a very long time. And looking at it, it's the conversation started about 2 years ago when we started going what Councilor Ryan said. But I just want you to know that there was so many options. There was 4 options. We discussed it. This place was packed one time with people. The majority were in favor of it. They showed up. And so there was a long process that went along with it. But I do appreciate you guys' concern and coming in and expressing that. But it's one thing that that this body has to kind of make decisions that are kind of tough, but we think it's for the best of the city, all of us, our parks and our police protection. That's what it came down to. So, but I do appreciate your help and your concerns, and you're expressing those concerns. Thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
Council? We good? Okay. Mr. Blake? And we have a letter signed here by several folks from the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And I will let you introduce the topic.
Madam Mayor, City Council, and representatives from the different city services, we would like to thank you for this opportunity to come together with you to discuss an item of public safety. And as president of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, it has been brought to our attention that there are some things that we would like to address having to do with public safety around the Sunset Park. And to kind of accentuate that, we have representatives here from the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, Rhonda Rich, our vice president, Carolyn Holman, our secretary, who will speak in just a second, and Carol Dorfler are here. I first of all want to make it very clear that as a member of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, I appreciate the response that we've gotten from the city and the different departments on this issue. We bring this letter today not to criticize, but to just signify the things that have been discussed, so that when we return and talk with the members of the public, we can explain to them what we have been able to accomplish and what the city has agreed to do. So without any further ado, I'll turn some time over to Carolyn, so that she can read this letter. If you have any questions, we'll get to that.
Gary said he's vision challenged tonight. His glasses aren't working to read, so the letter is dated November 6th to Mayor Clark, council members, City Attorney Johnson, Chief of Police Teague, also to Marion County Commissioners and Polk County Commissioners regarding the recent incident in and around Sunset Park involving gunfire that originated at a shooting range across the Willamette River from Sunset Park. We, the board members of West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, write to register our concern about the public safety issues arising from the September incident involving gunfire originating in Polk County across from Sunset Park. From testimony provided at the September 18th council meeting by several West Kaiser residents, the incident resulted in bullets entering Sunset Park and frightening pedestrians and neighbors walking along Sunset Avenue, and also caused visitors to the park at the time to flee in panic. Shirley Deshawn, who lives next to Sunset Park, testified that this is not the first such incident of gunfire emanating from the gravel pit shooting range. Gunfire crossing the river and endangering people and property in West Kaiser. Although there was talk at the meeting of the city preparing a letter to be sent to Polk County officials about the matter, Ms. Deshawn reported at the October 12, 2017 West Kaiser Neighborhood Association General Meeting that it has been decided that a letter will not be sent. She said that since Kaiser Police Department Lieutenant Copeland has been working with the property owner to craft a resolution, city officials felt it would be counterproductive to draft a letter at this time and in effect send mixed signals. Instead, it has been decided to post signs advising those using the shooting range not to fire in the direction of Sunset Park. At the time of the WKNA meeting, the signs had not yet been posted, but she hoped for action soon. The landowner involved is said to be cooperative. The West Kaiser Neighborhood Association Board writes to request that the signage be posted at the earliest possible date if it has not yet gone up. We also would like to be informed of any other follow-up that may occur between the city and the property owner or any Polk County officials regarding this incident. As a group, we feel this incident is a major breach of public safety involving citizens of West Kaiser and anyone else who might be frequenting Sunset Park. To have gunshots come from a site across the Willamette River is a completely unanticipated occurrence for which no one using Sunset Park should expect to be prepared. We trust that the mayor, city council, city attorney, chief of police, and other officials join us in appreciating the seriousness of the public safety implications of this incident. We thank you for respectfully listening to the West Kaiser neighbors who testified, and thank you in advance for keeping all of us updated on any future follow-up that may be deemed necessary. Respectfully signed, West Kaiser Board of Directors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. And I believe this will go to Chief Teague. Do you want to let them know how we've been following up on this?
Yeah, I think last time I spoke on this, I noted that the property owner had, by that time, and that was probably, what, 3 weeks ago maybe? I guess it'd be a month ago, restricted access to his property. Actually, I should restate that he really isn't in a position to being able to restrict access. There's many points at which people can't access the property. He's restricted to who has permission to shoot on the property, so that's a substantial change. The sign has been posted. Andrew had planned to go with Shirley, or actually Shirley planned to go with Andrew Copeland. Ended up that Dan Dietz went. I think Dan Dietz probably let you know that already, did he? I think he said he was going.
Not that I'm aware, but
Okay, I thought he was going to do that. So the sign's been posted, and again, the sign is bright red. You can't miss it, saying, you know, don't shoot this direction. Kaiser's right across the river. Finally, the landowner wanted also for us and for West Kaiser Neighborhood Association residents to be aware that there are other properties around there that people shoot on, not just his. But he'll be attentive to that too, I think. I know he was concerned about that. I guess the one thing that's in this letter that you said you'd like to be informed of any other follow-up, we'll try to do that. You can imagine we make contact frequently, the PD does. It would probably be helpful if when you ask us to come speak to the Neighborhood Association, if you'll prompt us to look for that. Otherwise, I'm afraid it might slip past us, but if you prompt us, we'll be sure to look that up before we come appear before you.
happy to.
All right, any further questions? Thank you for following up on this, and, Councilor Reed.
I was just going to ask if, have there been any other incidences since we got the ball rolling on this to fix this? Have there been any other reports of gunshot in this area since then?
Well, I've heard gunshots, but there have been no reports that anything has come across the river into the park that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I live on Sunset, so I can definitely hear it when they're shooting
Okay.
over there.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, good, thank you.
It also comes echoing through the whole neighborhood, and as Chris just pointed out, it's duck hunting season. So I've called a couple of times in years past when it seemed like there was excessive gunfire, and they said, yeah, it's duck hunting season. So, but hopefully the people are really paying attention to where they're pointing as well during duck hunting season. So, but thank you. And Councilor Freeman is the liaison to the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association and will also help with this process of keeping everybody connected. Okay? Councilor Ryan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just would like to add, we appreciate not only your interaction, but I know that the police have done a great job of keeping us emailed and in the loop of what's going on, and it's not something that we followed up with as much as the officers, and it looks like the landowner didn't even really realize what was going on. I think he was surprised. I think he was very cooperative, and I was very pleased to hear that there was some resolution and that he was very adamant on really changing who could use his property and following up, and if anything happened, they wanted to know and continue to take more action. So I hope that is satisfying to you as well as an association, because it is, of course, it is serious. So I just want you to know that we've been in the loop, but not as an action as much as just getting updates. And so I hope that that's good for your association as well.
And I appreciate your comments and your follow-up on that because, you know, as a representative of the people of West Kaiser, we really appreciate this opportunity to communicate with you as well as with them. And the more feedback that we get, the better we can all feel about the progress. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Anything else? All right. And you have a meeting coming up, do you not?
Thursday.
Okay, I might want to remind everybody where and when?
Here, 7
Okay.
o'clock.
And the microphone. This
Here
is
at
your
7
chance.
o'clock.
7 o'clock on Thursday night, right here, and it's not just for West Kaiser neighborhood residents, it's open to anybody who'd like to come. And what's going to be on the agenda? I'm giving you a free plug.
It's Jerry McGee. Jerry McGee is going, the Kaiser historian is going to talk to us.
Yeah.
So, and also Eric Bandonas will be there, Marion County probation officer.
Fabulous. So
Cookies.
Yeah.
Dr. Jerry McGee and Eric Bandonas, that sounds like a great program. 7 o'clock, be here on Thursday night. Yes.
And we'll share some cookies too.
You know what? It's all about the cookies. Thank you again. We really appreciate that. Mr. Anderson, would you please join us? And you're going to talk to us about traffic on Newburgh.
Thank you. Charles Anderson, Newburgh Drive, Kaiser. Well, the first thing I'm going to open up with is that being that I am at the epicenter of this situation, I'm also receiving a lot of problems at my house because of the traffic and the student activity there. And the most recent one was last week. I always work out in my back driveway a lot. I spend a lot of time there, but they're coming into my back driveway now. And they left this was sitting on a bucket I had upside down, and they just left it there. I opened it, and it's got some residual, looks like pot in there. So anyway, that's happening. I did sue the school on small claims court for damages that were done to my window, my kitchen window, from snowballers. And they finally agreed to pay, which they haven't done yet, but they said they would. And and then the other thing that I want to point out is that when they do pick up trash on MacArthur Street to Newburgh Drive, they stop at Newburgh Drive, and it just seems, maybe I'm not liked, maybe this person or whatever, my place gets trashed quite a bit with litter. And so the kids come out to clean up the street, and they don't come across the street where the trash is. So I'm a little I don't care for that too much. But nonetheless, we had that meeting that both the city manager and Mayor Clark were at, and out of that meeting, Mr. Wolf said that he would be open to any ideas and act on those. And there's been plenty of them put out, and there's been no action done from the school board through the school. So I'm going to ask again for them to lock the gate on a couple of months trial and see how that works out. And as I've said many, many times, this wasn't a problem, and it just happens to coincide with Eric Jesperson becoming the principal at the school 3 years ago. So he's a new principal, but at that time, everything changed in our neighborhood, and we started getting traffic, parking that we never had before, and the student population of the school is actually less today than it was 3 years ago by about 50 students or 75 maybe. So I just want to air this out again, and I'm not going to quit. I believe that the whole problem, just like the people were opposing the water bill hike, which I kind of got to go along with, but I believe, I'm curious of why all the government entities, City of Kaiser, the school, the Salem-Kaiser district are so adamant about making our neighborhood into a drop-off point and parking lot for the school. And it really goes back to dollars. And they also do something now, since Eric Jesperson has taken over, on Tuesdays and Tuesday nights or Thursday nights, they also have parking in the evenings, which has never happened prior to 2014. So now we're getting weeknight sports game people crowding our neighborhood, and I went, what is going on? So I walked over to the school. The school parking lot was totally filled. So I started asking around. They said, yeah, they've got girls soccer, boys soccer, volleyball, and a choir all happening at the same time. Well, that's just pure scheduling thing that caused that. And I'm going, what's going on? And Mr. Wolf talked a lot about pushing the bond issue. And I believe the whole thing is they've got 500 people that believe there is a huge problem just because they packed them all in at once. So when they come up with a bond, those people are going to do it. So I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna go for no bond. I'm going to push for that. I'm going to push real hard to not vote for the bond. That thing's really going at me here.
Thank you.
But anyway, so that's kind of what I got to say in a 5-minute nutshell there.
All right.
If I can hear back from anybody, that'd be great. If not,
The school district has not communicated with you on their decision regarding what they're going to do at McNary in the short term?
in the short term.
You know, have they talked to you about their decision regarding the gates after October 12th?
No. What is that?
So that, you might want to contact Mr. Jesperson.
We don't know. That's,
Yeah.
we were wondering if you knew.
I'm going to
Well,
write him a letter
okay.
real soon. And I am going to write him a letter.
And what I might suggest also is be in communication with your representative on the school board, which is Mr. Lee, Chuck Lee. He is our representative for Kaiser on the school board, so he stays in the loop on what's going on with the school. And I would encourage you to continue to be in contact with the school district in their scheduling and the needs of the students there too.
Well, it'd sure be nice if they tried that for a couple months just to see what would happen. So,
Well,
you
we'll
know,
have to see if that's the decision they make.
okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, yes, Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a heads up, I know I'm not very savvy with the verbiage of what the school bond looks like, and I know there's some open town hall type meetings coming up and discussion on that, but it's my understanding from some of the plans that I've seen that big part of the bond is the issues of parking at McNary and trying to get in a new parking lot, and I know they're looking at surrounding areas. I think there's some good resolutions going, so I really caution you to look at that before you fight that bond too hard, because that might be the resolution to our situation.
That is the basis of what they projected at that meeting. But since I've gotten involved in this for the last few years, I've kind of went from an extreme left person kind of over to the other way. And I'm seeing too much money for the government, just like the water bill, and too much, you know, but I'll say Kaiser's a good city. Don't get me wrong, and their police service and all that, even though I fight with them. But they're and you guys are trying to do that. But it's also a growth of the government that needs to be squelched a little bit too. And with that incentive, that's what's going to motivate me to fight the bond.
Well, and I don't disagree. I think you have some really good points, and I love your voice in the community. And I know that people are frustrated, and you're frustrated, and I just hope that you'll come back over to the light side where there's cookies and a little more balance, and you know what I mean. Like, I think there's some good stuff going on, and I think if you keep being that voice and maybe see when those meetings are and what's going on, I think that they are hearing it, and that's why they are looking at it. And so I think don't give up on the process is my thought before you dig in your heels on against it. Maybe find the balance there.
We'll
And
see.
I don't know more about it, or I'd share it with you, but I know it's all available.
I'm not a closed mind person, but
Okay, excellent.
I could, if they lock the gate, I might go to the other side and help them. Yarr.
Understood. All right. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
All right.
That's all.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good evening. If you
want
want to
the
leave that. Just not to use on the premises. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to address the council during public testimony? All right, then let's go on to administrative action. We'll go to item 8A, which is resolution affirming the intent of the City Council of the City of Kaiser regarding the replacement funding for economic development. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor, and Council. You may remember at the last council meeting, requested council direction with regard to some urban renewal matters as the Urban Renewal Agency was being dissolved. One of those matters was an old Urban Renewal Agency resolution basically indicating the intent of the agency to take the net proceeds from the sale of any local improvement district Kaiser Station Area A properties and apply that to the River Road Renaissance. After some discussion, it was my understanding council wanted to do something similar to that, but perhaps make that more general in the term economic development was used. And so this resolution that you see is very similar to the old urban renewal resolution, except it's a council resolution. And you can see on the second page that it is obviously any proceeds, if there's still reimbursements to be made to the future, to the other jurisdictions. And if you need some follow-up on that history, some of the counselors weren't around back then, but we have to reimburse all the other jurisdictions. We have reimbursed all the jurisdictions except for the school district, which is more of a long-term reimbursement. If at the time we sell, and again, the only likely sale would be the Rollins parcels, those two parcels between by BPA and the stadium. If at the time that those are sold, if there's no remaining money, or after any remaining money to the school district, the concept would be that it's the intent of the council at the bottom of that page 2 to use any funds, remaining funds, to fund economic development for the City of Kaiser. And I intentionally left that fairly broad because that was the understanding that I got from council at this point, to leave that fairly broad. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017 affirming intent of the City Council of the City of Kaiser regarding replacement funding for economic development.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017 affirming the intent of the City Council of the City of Kaiser regarding the replacement funding, did I read it correctly, for economic development. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. My PDF is working weird tonight, so it's going to be a little bit weird. All right, item 8B is an order designating a no parking zone in a certain area of Cade Avenue Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor, Council, the development of commercial property located at the southwest corner of Cherry Avenue and Cade Avenue required street improvements along the Cade Avenue frontage of the property. These improvements included curbs, sidewalks, and pavement widening. After completion of these improvements, a request was made by some of the residents along Cade to establish a no parking zone along the newly improved section of the street. Staff evaluated the request and found the width of the traveled area does not meet the minimum width required to provide on-street parking. The minimum width required to allow parking on one side of the street is 28 feet, and there's only 27 feet of available width.
There's no fiscal impact with establishing a no parking zone at this location, and funds are available in the city council adopted fiscal year 17-18 street fund budget. Staff recommends the city council consider the matter and adopt the attached order designating the no parking zone on Cade Avenue as indicated on Exhibit 1, which basically, for those of you that don't have the exhibit, is all of the area along the sidewalk, curb and sidewalk on Cade Avenue, south side at Cherry Avenue. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clarify, what kind of businesses are these that are on this area, and will the no parking affect their business at all?
I don't know exactly all the businesses that are there. I know there's at least one service business, like an electrician or some shop like that. In looking at this and going by and checking on it random times, I've never seen anybody park there, so I don't expect it to affect them in any way.
Thank you.
So is this the one where we were able to do the improvements on the south side, but the property owner on the north side did not want it paved and improved?
Yes, this Cade Street is,
So it's not fully, it's paved as far as we have right of way?
that's correct.
Okay. I do remember this one.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, just to clarify, since we're on the record, I wouldn't necessarily say there's not right-of-way there. The property owner didn't want to cooperate when there was a question of whether or not there was right-of-way, so.
Okay.
Although it would have improved his property and the property owner on the north now, so we're talking about the northwest corner of that
Right.
intersection. It would have improved his property, and if he ever wants to redevelop, he'll have to pave that on his own dime. He still didn't want it paved even for free, so.
Okay.
And just for clarification, the dimension that I stated in the staff report of 27 feet includes that area of Cade Street. It's not just the paved area. It's 17 feet of pavement plus 10 feet of additional width that is undetermined if it's right-of-way or not. I'll put it that way, so.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification, what instigated this no parking that we're now implementing? I mean, what's the difference now between a month from now or ago?
Resident request. I got a request from 5 residents that live right in that part of Cade Avenue.
So it's not are we talking about the public street that?
On the south side, it is very clearly public right-of-way, public street, yes. On the north side, it's not as clear,
So are we only implementing on the north side then?
just on the south side.
Do we have that right on a public street to say no parking if it's?
Yes, as the ordinance for no parking gives the Public Works Director the authorization to establish a no parking zone within 50 feet of an intersection, okay? I don't do that randomly. This is more than 50 feet, so it takes council action. There was a situation a few years ago on Shoreline and Rafael. They requested a no parking zone. I could have established 50 feet. That wasn't enough in that case, so I brought it to council with a recommendation to establish that zone. So I'm treating this one the same way.
Do we know why they requested it? Is this a neighborhood issue of two neighbors arguing? I mean, what are we stepping into here? That's what I'm
They
asking.
requested it based on they felt it was unsafe. To be real honest with you, I disagreed with them on the front end of this. My initial recommendation to you was going to be no, don't establish it. But when I did the research and did the measurement and looked at our standards, when I found out it was 1 foot short of allowing parking on one side of the street, I felt I didn't have any basis to not recommend approving this.
My understanding from talking to Bill is the perception, real or not, is that 2 cars, I mean, it's a lot narrower, the paved area is a lot narrower than you would see, obviously, and that 2 cars, if you allow parking there, 2 cars can't really pass very safely. That's the perception concern.
And before the improvements were done by the property owner that developed this property, there was less width there than there is now. And so, again, my initial reaction was, no, I wouldn't recommend this. But after studying it, looking into it, I realized I really need to recommend it because it doesn't meet the standards.
And there is some argument because of that if push came to shove, we would sort of be required to enforce no parking in that area because it doesn't meet our minimum width standard. And so signs are a much less expensive way of enforcing that standard than having Chief Teague post one of his fellows down there.
So.
And shoot people away.
So in follow-up, Bill, and I, thank you, Chris, I understand, if they had paved it, would this be a different situation?
No.
No, because
No.
of the, because of
So it
the
doesn't
right-of-way
change it.
width.
It's not the surface, it's the width of the available driving
okay.
area.
It's not like we could fix it as a city and then it wouldn't be an issue, it's a,
No.
No.
okay, thank you.
Further questions?
I will also mention, just for those counselors who have not dealt with this particular topic before, Cade Street is sort of an ambiguous area.
I know all about
and
Cade
the
Street.
history of it is ambiguous as well. And so at some point, if you're interested, you should contact either Shannon or Bill or myself, and we can walk you through that long and sordid history.
Thank you.
It is colorful. Yes, indeed. That's part of what makes Kaiser an interesting community. All
Usually
right.
patchwork.
Yes. Further questions? Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt an order designating no parking zone in a certain area of Cade Avenue Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt an order designating no parking zone in a certain area of Cade Avenue Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 8C, resolution authorizing city manager to sign intergovernmental agreement relating to creation of a program coordinator for the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor, and Council. This is the first of two items tonight dealing with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, the first being an intergovernmental agreement for the program coordinator for the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative. You may remember that in 2016, the two counties, Salem and the city of Kaiser, formed a task force under an initiative known as the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative. As a result of that, a strategic plan was established, and that was before council at a work session back in April. Since that time, the representatives of the jurisdictions have proposed establishing a coordinator within the COG, Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, with duties of impending certain aspects of that plan. As part of that process, the cities of Independence and Monmouth have also joined in, and the attached agreement is kind of a product of all those discussions. So the concept is that the jurisdictions will fund this program as an employee of COG, and that resolution authorizes the city manager to sign the intergovernmental agreement relating to that creation of that program position. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017, authorizing the city manager to sign intergovernmental agreement relating to the creation of a program coordinator for the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017, authorizing the city manager to sign intergovernmental agreement relating to creation of a program coordinator for the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative. Discussion. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you. I snuck that in at the end, thank you. Really not a question, I just want to thank you so much, and Councilor Freeman, for the work that you did on this, and I'm excited, I'm really excited that we're taking action, moving forward, and we're making it happen, and it's all to the work of the council and the two of you representing Kaiser, and I think this is an amazing thing for Kaiser to be a part of, and I'm really proud of both of you and our city to make this happen. It's nice to see action and not just a lot of verbiage, so thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I also appreciate the support throughout our region for this. There's a lot of people doing good work, and bringing better coordination, we felt through the Homeless Initiative was going to help enhance that, bring best practices, funding opportunities. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the best thing is that more people who have needs are met, have those needs met in a significant and effective way. And that's the goal. Councilor Freeman?
So I'm just going to throw this out. I know some of our people earlier talked about outreach. And just a disclaimer here, I work for Oregon Housing and Community Services, and we're doing our statewide housing plan with a lot of outreach. Homelessness happens to be one of the topics. Affordable housing happens to be a huge topic. And so We've also had the privilege of receiving additional dollars into the state for homeless initiatives and looking at many things. And so I think it's an imperative time for the state to reach out to us as a city, the state, the county, to really share your ideas or thoughts or, ways, because there could be someone out there that has a great idea that we haven't thought of. And I just encourage that. And this is a creation of a brand new position that I think is going to be beneficial, not just to our region, but hopefully to the state as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to item 8D, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments to assist with development of an ADA transition plan. ADA stands for the Americans with Disabilities Act. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor and Council. It appears the mayor has gotten the acronyms out of the way, so I won't presume I have to repeat those. This is the second COG agreement on the playbook for tonight. This is an IGA, intergovernmental agreement, with COG for planning for Americans with Disability Act's transition plan. So Chris has worked closely with the staff person at COG in this regard, and you can see the scope of work that's laid out there. So we're hopeful that we'll be moving forward after this is agreed to and get the city's transition plan going. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report? Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017 authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments to assist with the development of an ADA transition plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2017 authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments to assist with development of an ADA transition plan. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of this. That takes us to the consent calendar. Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are 6 items on the consent calendar tonight. A is a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a consent to petition to vacate Phillips Street. B is a resolution extending the city manager's employment contract 2018-2019. C, a resolution extending the city attorney's employment contract for 2018 and 2019. D, resolution approving the city engineer's report declaring the city's intent to form Galena Court Street Lighting Local Improvement District, providing notice and setting a hearing. And E is a resolution approving the city engineer's report declaring the city's intent to form Pinecrest Addition Street Lighting Local Improvement District, providing notice and setting a hearing. And F is approval of the October 16th, 2017 regular session minutes.
Are there any polls? Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Council liaison reports. Councilor Anderson, shall we start with you tonight, sir?
Sure, Madam Mayor. Thanks. Just a couple of items that I was honored to be at, actually, was on October 25th, our Civic Center here hosted a meeting of the WorkSource Oregon agency folks, all centered around who are engaged in getting our veterans, services to our veterans who have served in the military, connecting them with services and that sort of thing. So it was great. And those folks were from all over the state too. So just was honored to be able to extend a welcome to the folks here on behalf of the city of Kaiser. And then Friday the 27th was the Marion County Reentry Initiative Breakfast. Saw many of y'all there. And as in my daytime job. I actually was one of the sponsors of the event, so I was there in that capacity. So it was great. Commissioner Carlson just has had great foresight in pulling all of this sort of thing together. I've known her a long time, and it just, to me, just underscores what a diligent public servant that she has been over the years, dedicated to this particular area in connecting folks, making that transition from prison into life. Then just a couple of upcoming one liaison meeting I have coming up is with the Kaiser Chamber Board. That's their board meeting is this Wednesday on the 8th, so I'll be attending that, and then I'll be helping out with some of you in welcoming some kids from the Eagle Charter School there. So. And finally, just to point out, I'm slated to go to the Marion County Commissioner Breakfast this Thursday, and I am not going to be able to do that. So,
So we have, who's on deck for that? Councilor President Parsons and
Freeman.
Councilor Freeman. So Councilor Reed, Councilor Herrera, are you able to be there Thursday morning at 7:30?
Can't.
Nope, you got work.
I think I could do it.
Okay,
Think
Councilor
this
Herrera
Thursday?
or
Okay.
Councilor
I'll do it.
Ryan?
Thanks, man.
Okay. So if Councilor Herrera can't, then you can? Okay, so if you could let Councilor Ryan know if you can't make it, she can.
I'll do it by tomorrow.
Perfect.
Thank you very much,
All right, thank you for
Councilor
letting us
Herrera.
know.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Councilor Herrera, you're up.
Okay, I forgot.
Lucky weekend.
I forgot, yeah, it was a busy weekend, but I just wanted to, on October 25th, I participated or attended the Heritage Halloween party there. They had some really cool stuff for kids, all kinds of cool entertainment. That was kind of nice. Also, let's see, what were we at? Oh yeah, I gotta say this right now while it's still in my mind. Congratulations to McNary football. They won the playoff game against Grand Pass. The score of 22-20 was right here. And so they have a big task ahead of them. I think they play West Lynn, which is like a powerhouse. But hey, they've done a great job. I just want to mention that before I forget. And you know, I attended the Crystal Apple Awards, which is you're probably familiar with for the educators. And I want to mention our local educators in our local schools of Kaiser that were nominated. And just being nominated is kind of a huge thing because when you think of all the thousands of employees that the school district has, they're well deserved. But anyway, from Kennedy, my personal favorite, Megan Lamb was nominated, and so was Sheila Morales from Claggett Creek Middle School, Kim Pitsley from McNary, she's been there forever, Buffy Rhines, Clear Lake Elementary School was also nominated, and my good friend Gina Suing, Tom's lovely wife from Cummings Elementary, was nominated. Also, Lewis Tiller. Mr. Tiller's been there for a long time, so great guy. Yeah, and he was actually a winner. So I mean, like I say, nomination is just amazing. And also Jill Whitney Turner from Cummings Elementary, and those were the people that were nominated from our. It must be funny or something, but from our schools, and the whole event was incredible. And if you've never been to one, they're a lot of fun. So they do a wonderful job. Also, I wanted to remind people about the community forum on. I think November 13th is when the next one is for a general, talking about the school bond. And that would be, the bond will be from May 2018. But if you want some information on that, from 6 to 7:30 at McNary on November 13th, people will be there explaining it. And my friend Chuck Lee is running that campaign to help out. And I'll be helping out with that also. I also attended a Day of the Dead, which is my little pin I'm wearing here, and if you want to know what it's about, go to Google because it's a long story. Dia de los Muertos, it's called. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Council President Parsons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, too, went to the Marion County Reentry Breakfast, which, of course, was amazing and always brings tears to our eyes. Also, I had a KFAB, which is the Kaiser Festivals and Advisory Board meeting last Monday, and basically we're just redoing our mission statement a little bit, and we also did a finalization of the Eclipse event and just talked about other things coming up. On the 12th, I have Planning Commission. On the 13th is the Marion County Commissioners Breakfast. Other than that, it's been slow 2 weeks, so.
So did the Festival Advisory come up with or do the holiday event meeting or is
Oh,
there a
yeah,
calendar?
I'm sorry, yes, we did. I knew there was something. I was gonna let Counselor read. I didn't
Well,
want to.
okay.
She has to do something, right?
All right,
So-
We're sharing.
So I'll share. I'll
Okay,
let
we'll-
her talk
we'll
about
share.
that. Okay.
So with that, Counselor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so we'll start with the KFAB Festival Advisory Board meeting. Yes, we did discuss all the holiday festivities coming up, and it's quite a fun schedule and lots of really great things going on. And Kaiser Times does a great job of keeping us apprised of what's going on with that. So we encourage you to keep an eye on the paper and on the city website to see what's going on. And there's so much happening. And a lot of people invested a lot of time and energy in planning these events. So come out and support them. It'll be great fun for all. Last Saturday, we had a tree planting at Kaiser Rapids Park, and that was with the spearheaded by the Rotary and the Watershed Council, and we had several groups of McNary students out there helping out, and it was a wonderfully effective procedure. We got done in a reasonable amount of time, and the Rotary and the Watershed Council had done all the job of digging the holes, and so we just had to prepare the trees and plop them in and do that part of it. And it was a really great event. It was great to see so many kids out there volunteering, and it was, again, just very well coordinated. Also, the same day, a little bit later, we had a town hall meeting with Senator Ron Wyden, and that was at McNary, and that was also a very interesting event. We had some really good discussion with Senator Wyden, and our mayor sort of emceed the whole day and did a fantastic job with that, and just helped us understand the complexities of what's going on in the government at the national level, and how we all need to be aware and productive parts of those conversations. So anyway, that was a really interesting meeting. We had this is not in any kind of order, I apologize, but we had a Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association meeting not a couple weeks ago, and as part of that, we were coordinating with the city to talk about different cleanup aspects that needed to happen, and Colleen Bush in particular has been very instrumental in getting the Parent Association at Weddell on board with that as well, and so I really appreciate her efforts in tying the efforts of the Neighborhood Association with the school, and we're excited to see something move forward on that. So, and again, just encourage as many people as can to attend their Neighborhood Association meetings. We need as many voices as we can in those. This Thursday, we have Living History Day at McNary High School to commemorate Veterans Day. And that is a fantastic event in which many of our community veterans come into McNary High School and give presentations for the students, and we have an assembly, and it's a wonderful tradition that we have at McNary, and it's really impressive, and it's a really great bridge for the across the generations, and to help us really appreciate what the veterans have done for our country and for our and to make our lives better. So thank you to those participating in that, and a general thank you to all those veterans who we will celebrate on Veterans Day. I also went to the community breakfast, and that was really a lot of fun. That was my first, and that was very, very impressive. This weekend, we have a couple plays going on. The Kaiser Homegrown Theater is presenting Heaven Can Wait at the Kroc Center. That opens this Friday night at 7 p.m., and that goes for the next 2 weekends. And at McNary, they are opening their musical this weekend, and that also goes for the next 2 weekends. And Wizard of Oz has matinees on Saturdays, and Heaven Can Wait has matinees on Sundays of those 2 weekends. So if you're interested and want to visit those websites, we would certainly encourage you to do that. And that is about all I have. Thank you.
Don't you love it? We have such a richness of the arts right here. Counselor Freeman.
Well, I too attended the Marion County Reentry Breakfast, and it was standing room only. And I think they're going to have to look for a new venue, but it was pretty touching. And I will echo Councilor President Parsons and Councilor Anderson's comments about Janet Carlson. You know, she's pretty powerful, but when she gets up there and gets tears in her eyes and gets kind of sappy. Well, I mean, I probably had
There
tears
goes
in
the
my
room.
eyes, and everyone was grabbing tissue, but it was very powerful and wonderful to have the recipient Jill in the audience as well. So it was very touching. So Thursday, the 9th, is a busy day for myself, starting out with the Marion County Commissioners Breakfast. Then we have Traffic Safety Pedestrian Bikeways Committee at 6 o'clock right here in the council chambers, followed by the West Kaiser neighborhood at 7. And just to reiterate, Jerry McGee will be our speaker, along with Eric Bandonis, who is Marion County Parole and Probation Officer, but he usually comes every month or every other month, and we are lucky that he has a spot right here in our own police department. Councilor Reed and the mayor, and I will be attending some recycling. We're going to learn about recycling tomorrow. So,
Improved.
yeah, I think I think we do a great job. I know in my neighborhood, the Blue Bin is always full, and so I think, and there was a big article in the paper, so it'd be interesting to hear about that. I too want to thank all our veterans for their service, as we will be celebrating all of them. In the event of the Volunteer Coordinating Committee, which we will meet on Thursday, November 16th, we do have several openings, and the deadline is Wednesday, November 8th. So in 2 days, you need to get your application in if you have not already. So the Budget Committee has 3 openings. The Kaiser Points of Interest, there is 1 opening. Parks Advisory Board, 3 vacancies. Planning Commission, 1 vacancy. Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian has 3. And the Storm Water Advisory Committee has 1, and we are also searching for youth liaisons to be involved. And one thing that I'll just announce, because Councilor Anderson did not, the Kaiser Chamber has their Turkey Dash coming up on Thanksgiving morning. You probably will make that announcement at another time, but I'll just put that plug out. It's Thursday morning, starts at 8 a.m., and I know registration is open, so if you want to walk or run before you eat turkey or whatever you choose to do on that day. I know you could run with turkey, you could bring your children, you could dress up. I think Councilor President Parsons and I will be there along with our fellow 5 a.m. workout crew, so we'll be there, so everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but also on Monday, the 13th, there will be a community listening session for the school board's upcoming bond that is going to be on the ballot in May. And so if you are interested and want to find out what exactly is involved with that and have your voice heard, it's really important to be able to participate in those things. It's at McNary at 7 o'clock. So if you are interested in hearing more about the bond, that is this Monday, the 13th. Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
13th. Monday. Thank you. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be short and sweet tonight. I too will be at the Turkey Dash. I put my turkey in and then I go and then I have to come back, and I love seeing the costumes and the enthusiasm, so I'm not quite as quick as everyone else, but it's a great event.
The journey.
My liaison meetings are, because we've kind of moved meeting dates around, they're coming up, so I'll wait and report on those at the next meeting. I also am participating in the Eagle Charter presentation and field trip for Who's the Boss, which is one of the fun presentations we get to do. I plan on also attending the McNary playoff and going in all blue and encouraging anybody who wants to ride or drive up and carpool, we could do that. And then to West Lynn, yeah, it's exciting. And then it was really fun to see, of course, Halloween and all the little pumpkin heads. Although some neighbor kids get a lot more kids than I do. I always get kind of jealous. Like, I even put lights and tried to encourage, my kids call them the runway lights to get to the door, and I still couldn't get the trick-or-treaters. I guess I need a bigger house or something with candy bars. But and I too attended the Walden Town Hall. I was excited to see his perspective of what's going on in our nation and our community, and he had a lot of great answers. He responded whether people liked the answers or not. And I thought that was excellent, even if you weren't on the same page. It was a great informational session. I just do want to take a second. I didn't have a poll on the consent calendar, but I do want to make a note that several of us just attended the LOC conference. And I want to reiterate, with extending the contracts here with our city manager, our city attorney, I want to reiterate, because Chris doesn't always get to hear what we hear, is that our city manager has so much knowledge and respect in the entire state, and he's thought so highly of, and he's spoken highly of, and his commitment and his commitment to the training in the city and serving the Kaiser. But at the same time, I hope that he knows how much respect he has in the communities surrounding us, because he does an excellent job. And so extending his contract was a privilege. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Youth Councilor Hernandez, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Many of the things I'm going to talk about have already been touched on. last one on the rope. So I'll reiterate, McNary versus Westland this Friday at 7 p.m. This Friday, we will not have school in observance of Veterans Day, which is kind of confusing because that's the 10th, and Veterans Day is on the 11th, right?
It's really an observance of the football game, but...
Yeah, okay. Wizard of Oz for the next 2 weekends. That'll be fun. I also went to the Ron Wyden Town Hall meeting, and students that actually went, we went to the College and Career Center and had a further discussion with Mr. Ron Wyden, and got a picture, and got to shake his hand. So that was an extra opportunity on top of that. I actually spent my Halloween. Well, a lot of application deadlines are due, so I spent my Halloween putting on the finishing touches of my Stanford application. So I got that in. So no trick or treating for me, but yeah. Yeah, so November is a big month in terms of college. The Gates Scholarship, for those of you who do not know, it's like a full ride scholarship. Only like 300 students in the nation get selected, so we get to know if we move on to the next phase on the 15th. So November is a big month, and that's all I have. So, thank you.
Very exciting. And I believe they keep a tally at McNary of the students who have received scholarships, and then kind of a running tally of the total amount of dollars that they have been awarded. And over the years, that has been some pretty impressive numbers for you and so many of your colleagues there at McNary. Because all that work really, really pays off, and your parents appreciate it so much. Not having student loans or reducing those student loans, and more importantly, what those scholarships mean for access for education opportunities. So good luck, and let us know how those turn out. All right. Thank you very much. Just a couple things to add. If you guys are getting the impression that we do a lot of stuff, we're kind of busy, you're right, but that's only because this community is never sitting still. So I went to the meeting for the Council of Governments Board, and I think I have announced, oh no, I didn't. It's that fifth Monday kind of threw me off. The League of Oregon Cities, I'm gonna back up. Council of Governments Board met, so good news that we have approved going forward with the intergovernmental agreement for the homeless initiative, and we have a meeting coming up to finalize all of that. I went to luncheons for Catholic Community Services and Family Building Blocks, two organizations that are very significant in serving families throughout our community, including those who are homeless and housing insecure, helping families be stable and be able to move forward with supportive services so that their children have a shot at a very healthy and happy life moving forward. League of Oregon Cities, we went through the process of recruiting and selecting a new executive director after the retirement of Mike McCauley. The new executive director is Mike Cully. Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. Very similar name. That's where the resemblance. We're very excited about the qualifications and experience of Mr. Cully in terms of not only economic development, media, management, and legislative. He has a very broad resume, and we're very excited, and the staff is very excited about him coming on board and taking the League of Oregon Cities to a new level that we are excited, not only for us, but for all of the cities in Oregon. So Mike Cully will start very shortly when the contract negotiations are concluded. On the 24th, I had 3 meetings, one with the Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study. There's public participation plan, the PPP, is out for public comment. I know that's, almost sounds, anyway, especially after the commentary about we didn't reach as many people as we would like. And, you know, public participation is one of the really difficult areas to navigate, always looking for new opportunities. The public participation plan for getting input from our communities and all of our organizations that the COG serves is also very important. So people, please weigh in on that. Work is trying to progress on the Kaiser Public Arts story polls. So really encourage you to look at the website. I believe we have something on there for your input, your ideas on what should be carved into the story polls in front of City Hall. And they're also looking for some other ways, again, of engaging more people and getting your ideas for what stories should be told on the story polls. We were hosted, the Mayor's Coalition for Marion, Polk, and Yamhill counties were hosted this last month by the Willamina Mayor, Isla Skyberg, at her home for dinner conversation. And it's a great way for us to help mentor and encourage and inform one another what's going on in our 3-county area. So thank you to Mayor Skyberg for opening her beautiful home to all of us. The Whitaker Day of Service, we talked about McNary, but on the 28th, 150 middle schoolers descended on Kaiser Rapids Park, and they spread 6 yards of bark dust. They pulled weeds, they removed invasives, they raked up leaves. They did a tremendous job. They were slated for 4 hours, and they had it done in 3.5. They worked so hard, did a great job. Thank you to Mr. Decker for organizing that on the part of the students. I also want to thank Scout Troop 19, who also brought some folks from South Salem. They wanted to be a part of it because, as they told me, they appreciate being able to be part of the camporee at that park, and it was their way of giving back and saying thank you. So thank you to Scout Troop 19 as well. We had a very successful Kaiser PD Drug Take Back Day. I don't know if the chief's going to report on this. I even heard it on Portland radio, and they actually found out without smoke signals, which was nothing short of amazing. But they talked about, Dorothy had put out on the website that they had collected about 5 or 6 bags, big bags of prescription medications that are no longer wanted. They're now safely disposed of. And I wanted to give a shout out that people know that we're doing this, and it's a very proactive way to keep our communities safe and also keep stuff like this out of the waste and waterways. The Black, White, and Gray show opened at the Enid Joy Mount Gallery next door at the Kaiser Heritage. If you haven't been over there yet, month of November, it's a must-see. It's free. It's beautiful, as it always is. The Black, White, and Gray show, everything is in black, whites, and grays, and anybody who was a fan of the photographer Ansel Adams, you know how incredibly creative you can be in just those shades of gray. So please go next door and enjoy that absolutely beautiful art hanging there. Coming up, we've got the Strategic Economic Development Corporation, SEDCOR, will be having their luncheon on the 8th. Also Wednesday night will be the Kaiser Community Band right here. It is free, and come enjoy some wonderful patriotic music with for Veterans Day on this Wednesday night. Friday morning, the city manager and I will be on KUMZ Radio with Eric Howell of the Kaiser Times, and we'll be doing an interview with him. So I'm looking forward to that. And I believe we're talking about the homeless initiative. If I remember that is going, no, the what? Oh, the fees, the Parks and Police fees. Thank you. I've got the initiative on the brain. So we're going to do an interview on that. And then we've got Heritage Board on the 14th, and we have the Personnel Policies Committee. I wrote on the 16th. We've got a lot of events coming up for the holidays, so I would encourage everybody. We are a generous community. We love to be able to give and give meaningfully. If you ever have a question about an organization, please go to the Department of Justice website. There is a place where you can check, is this really a charitable organization? Do they really produce the way that they say so? So invest, be generous, be the giving community that we are. But if in doubt, check them out. I would encourage you to do so. And with that, that's about it going on right now. Tree lighting. Does anybody remember when that is? It is December, isn't it?
No.
December.
December 6th,
December 6th. So I know this is a little bit in advance, but time's flying. December 6th is going to be the tree lighting at Wallery Plaza, so put that on your calendar.
I have it on the 5th.
Is that Tuesday?
It's a
Tuesday the 5th.
Tuesday, the
The
5th
5th.
of December.
Yes.
6 o'clock, be there. All right, that's all I have. So we will go on then to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I have to say that putting the public participation plan out for public comment is sort of like the Department of Redundancy department. It's, which I find, yeah.
Yes.
So, Tracy?
I have nothing, thank you.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I'm pleased to announce that for the 4th year in a row, we've received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. This is one of the ways that we as a city work to be transparent and to gain the trust of the public. We put together our budget document in a manner that's not every city does, not every jurisdiction does. We put it together in a manner that we can send it off and it can be judged against standard criteria. And we've come out ahead the last 4 years. And like I say, this is not something that every jurisdiction gets. So this is a good thing for the city. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Chief Teague.
I thought I'd just add to the mayor's comments that we have a drug take-back container, if you will, in the PD lobby every day of the year during business hours. It's available there for people to drop off their medications. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Mr. Lark.
Thank you, Chris. Just want to let everybody know, you've probably seen a lot of activity on various streets around Kaiser lately with some big white trucks and big orange equipment behind the backs of these trucks. River Road, Lock Haven, Shamawa, all over the city. That work is a massive fiber optic project being done by the school district to connect all of their schools to one fiber system. They will have their own fiber optic network throughout Kaiser and Salem. So it's not a city project. We've taken a lot of calls, some complaints, traffic control, things like that. Let us know. We can talk to them about dealing with some of these complaints, but just to let everybody know, it's not a city project. It's a school district project, and they are working all over Kaiser. I can't even imagine what they're doing in Salem. We have restricted their work hours on River Road. They've violated that a couple times, which we've told them, you got to get off River Road, can't be there till 9 o'clock. But anyway, just want to let everybody know that's the project that you're seeing a lot of activity on right now. And I don't know how long it's going to take them to get done. I would guess it's probably going to be another 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks before they're finished in Kaiser. So that's it.
Nate.
So this Wednesday, couple of days, we have the Planning Commission, and that is going to be a design alternative public hearing on the theaters. And our zone typically would require a lot of windows to be placed, but it's kind of hard to put windows in theaters. So the proposal is to mitigate that through landscape design. So that is, the code allows for that, and that hearing will be on Wednesday night.
6 o'clock?
Okay. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris. Nothing tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Written communications, I don't have anything to bring at this time. Agenda input, work session next Monday. Do we have a topic? We don't at this time. There are things we probably could schedule, but right now I'd hate to add something last minute, so we'll plan ahead for something in December if we need to, but January preferably. Yes, I'm hearing all in favor, yeah. But we will meet on November 20th at 7 p.m. in regular session, and then December 4th, 7 p.m. in regular session. December 2nd is the Saturday night, generally is the council night at the Food Barrel for the Gubser Miracle of Christmas for the Marion Polk Food Share. And those of you who plan to work is from 6 to 8. Would you please let me know so we can get a number to the organizers? December 2nd, 6 to 8. It's a Saturday night. It's the first Saturday of the Miracle of Christmas lights in Gubser. And if you can be there, please let me know so we can make sure we have folks here. 1, 2, 3. I know you can't. And let me know, let me know. All right. Sounds great. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. It is not 9:40. It is 8:40, and we are adjourned.